in Jakarta. Dear audience online, also a very warm welcome. Good morning to the Netherlands for those who participate from the Netherlands. I'm very pleased to see you all here for our session about the Living Lab initiative of the Annual Knowledge House from last year. Our session is called Building Futures Together, Living Lab Impact and Next Steps in Kampung Susun Kunir. There are quite a lot of speakers in our session today, so I won't lose too much time. You already see the first two next to me, and one of our speakers is also participating online. There's another colleague joining too online. So for today's session, we will have some presentation, present the project to you, but there's also plenty of time later on to go into discussion with the audience here in the room, but also, of course, with you colleagues online. So first, I would like to give the floor to my colleague next to me, Mr. Sanchez from Saxion University.
So good afternoon, friends, colleagues in Jakarta, and good morning to our viewers in the Netherlands. As Sabine said, my name is William Sanchez, and I work for Saxion University of Applied Sciences as a project leader of the Living Lab. And I would like to tell you in a few minutes why is the Living Lab very special. Why is it also very important to work with Indonesia in the Living Lab.
Some sheets pass.
Next slide, please. So how it started? It started as an initiative of the Netherlands Knowledge House. Knowledge House is a group, a network of Dutch and Indonesian universities working together on a vision of how we should collaborate between education and research in Indonesia for the good of both countries, communities, and its people. And from this network, the idea was from what would happen if we were able to connect students together from Indonesia and the Netherlands and to build their own common future. And from this idea, we looked at what do we have common within education and as preparing our students to work in the future job market, to work with communities and evolve their own skills, their own ideas, and their own passion into a project. And although the idea of a living lab is quite common in the Netherlands, it was still new in Indonesia, so we had to make a project with the grace of the members. They gave us a year time to think how can we make this idea of living lab, which is in the Netherlands a public-private partnership, into a more like a social public partnership project. And that idea was commissioned by the Netherlands Knowledge House. Next slide, please. So this is what happens. We had an idea for making this project together, and we needed to reach out to Indonesia, to the universities, to the communities, to our partner universities, and said, is this idea good? And how do you start getting people on board this idea? What you do is ask. You ask people, why is this important for you? Where should we start and which themes? And from this call for ideas, from this call of bringing in new perspectives, bringing curiosity from the Indonesian side, looking at what is happening and what is available for us, we came to an idea of what if we could build sustainable urban societies, make use of urban space. And the urban space is quite easy because it is a place where everybody comes together, where they meet, where they interact, where they live. And from then on, we build the story with our next speakers. Just to make you sure that it's about renewable energy transition, it is about renewable energy, but you have to look at the energy of the space, the energy of the community, and the energy of people. From that motivation, from that energy, you can start building transitions. I hope you can understand it when the story comes from our next speakers. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
So we applied it, so I will give the floor to our next speakers because their stories are the ones which make it a success. My responsibility is to make sure that we give them a platform, give them a space, and do anything what is within our power to make it happen. So that is my story, and I pass the story on to our next speakers.
Thank you, William. So, yes, should I? Hi, my name is Linda. I am a designer and researcher for Kampung Kollektief. So we are the case owners for this living lab, and we applied for this position because we saw that this was a wonderful opportunity for us as designers that worked with Kampung Susun Kunir before to envision a new way to rebuild sustainable public space. We were in the Living Lab program. We went through the judging panel, and next became the case owners of Living Lab. So as Kampung Kollektief, we were united from a program called What If Lab, where we focused on how we can build so that there are kampungs in the future that when we consider as Indonesians, sometimes there are stereotypes about kampungs or there are negative views about kampungs that might lead people to build without them in their ideas of the future. But through our program as designers, as social researchers, we try to say that there are kampungs in the future and have to build with them in consideration because they are part of the future that we can co-create. So our team of designers might be quite unique. It's very winner. We are designers from Indonesia and the Netherlands. So we started off from the What If Lab project, creating public space. We did it. The Dutch designers came for about 2 weeks in the beginning to do workshops with the residents of Kampung Susun Kunir, and the rest of the program we did in the term of 1 year. We visited the Netherlands and we also had sessions where we communicated online via Zoom. Next. So I would like to introduce you to Kampung Susun Kunir. Here in the audience, maybe the ones online cannot see, but we have Waheni and Pamarsha. Hello, hello.
Hello.
So Waheni and Pamarsha are residents of Kampung Susun Kunir. They've been generous enough to give their time to attend this presentation. We also worked with the other families in the Kampung Susun Kunir that you can see in this photo. So we got to know Kampung Susun Kunir. They are a kampung in Kota Tua, where you can see in this lovely map, they are the building in orange. And it's just around a 15-minute walk from Kota Tua. If you've been there as a tourist or as a historian, it's quite a lovely place. It's where the city center of Batavia used to be. And if you see in this photo, you can still see how the city of Batavia back in the 1600s still influenced how the shape of the kampung or the shape of the land that is used for the community still looks like and still gets influenced by. And in 2010, Kampung Susun Kunir was a typical kampung where you'd see row houses, where you'd see like little alleys, but they grew a lot of different plants. So one of their when we asked them what it was like back then, they would always answer that there were a lot of trees, there were a lot of fruits, that there were a lot of opportunities for people to just meet and have fun outside in with their neighbors. And it also won Jakarta Green and Clean Award. So they were awarded this in 2010 because they were able to maintain and take care of the living quarters of the kampung. So in 2015, they were unfortunately evicted from this land that they held so dear. This was an event which triggered a lot of what happened during the Living Lab and during how from 2015 and 2022, they navigated a way to have their housing back. So in this photo, you can see how it was with the large construction equipment coming in, with police coming in, and it became a way that they were asking, like, after the eviction, so what now? And how they answered it was quite unique in a way. they started off with their kampung already gone, and what came after that was new connections, new planning. So how they recovered from the evictions were more that they were able to communicate with different organizations. So the Jaringan Rakyat Miskin Kota, the Urban Poor Consortium, the Architect Kampung Urban, they all work together with also a lot of different organizations to find a way so that kampung communities, not just Kampung Susun Kunir, they all can find a solution towards the eviction problem. So what happened then was in 2023, after political contracts, after different kinds of mediations with the government, they were able to build Kampung Susun Kunir with Mas Kamil as an architect and IFS Architects Without Borders as their collaborator. And we came after that. So we had met Kampung Susun Kunir after the building was already done, and they were finding ways like, oh, transitioning from normal row house kampungs to a vertical kampung is a bit different. And at that time, they were adapting to like, oh, how do we define like where people meet, how people communicate, how the connection can still stay with the community. And we came as designers. We did different projects where it's not always how we communicate with the kampung. It's not always like doing focus groups or doing surveys. It's more like we had a chance in the first 2 weeks to really build a connection with the kampung. So when I saw this photo again, I just remembered that one of the ways we tried to connect with the moms was through a cooking workshop. We tried to make stroop waffles, but it ended up tasting like a winkle babak. So, but it became a really good memory where it didn't taste rice. It tasted also like tolak angin. But we had fun, and during that kind of informal way of connecting with like just activities that they can enjoy together, we started connections. We started the questions of how the future could look like, how sustainable public space could look like in a kampung setting. So what we did after that was we saw how the community grew, how space is being used in the kampungs, and we did a lot of design workshops. This is a photo from one of them, and then we ate rujak. So a few people in this audience in person have come to Kampung Susun Kunir. We did a mini rujak workshop on Sunday to introduce this lovely fruit salad dish, because it's also a connection to how the kampung was in before the evictions, with their large fruit trees, with how the kampung used to be able to pick fruit from outside of their homes, gather in one neighbor's house and eat together. That community, that sense of memory that we wanted to have back. So we did that in a way where we were able to make public space. So we designed these orange planters called Rujak Plaza. And this design later evolved where it was built. And then we were able to create it with the kampung together. We were able to then make different activities where the planters could be moved to the road. So to make use of the little space that we have, making temporary public spaces legitimate, because in Indonesia, sometimes when you just don't have space, you can make it anywhere with how flexible people are. If you need a wedding, sometimes people pop up tents in the road. If you need any clinics, you just bring out chairs from your house and it becomes a clinic. So this kind of approach, we wanted to say that it's a legitimate way to make public space. And from this approach, we then were able to make it as something that the kampung can benefit from. And then we were able to integrate it with the activities that the kampung already has. And we were able to make it also in the Netherlands. So this is a photo from the project in Rotterdam. And this is a photo from the project in Bogota. So a design from a kampung in Kota Tua has become something that's adopted also in the Netherlands and in Colombia. So from there, we are building towards a way where this kind of community-based designs can be replicated from students and from their perspective, like how working together with kampungs can bring out this kind of new collaboration that might not come up when we don't do it, when we skip the phase of communicating with residents, when we skip the phase of getting their input, the outcome might be different. It might be something that may not be as beneficial or may not be as something that they also have an attachment towards. So we wanted to also bring in this kind of approach for students. So from that, the Living Lab grew. We applied for the Living Lab, we became case owners, and then we had an event where matchmaking happened for different organizations, different universities in Indonesia and in the Netherlands to recruit the participants for the Living Lab. So we did this matchmaking back in June, where the universities also came to the kampung. They visited and heard the story from the residents directly, and we were able to then navigate the team for the Living Lab. So as matchmakers, Nuffic and NL Knowledge House played a big role in how the coordination with the Living Lab went. As case owners, Kampung Kollektief were the middlemen. We worked with the students. We arranged how each topic can be dissected. We then also guided the students after their visits to really develop their ideas. And then the universities also had each of their own topics. So with Kampung Susun Kunir, with the universities, with us as Kampung Kollektief, Nuffic, and NL Knowledge House, we all work together to make this Living Lab successful. And the students came up with really great ideas. And after this, one of the students, or was it risky person? One of the lecturers from the universities participating in Living Lab will fill in. Bariski. Yeah.
Yes, I can hear clearly.
Yeah.
Mbak Dinda.
I give the floor to you.
Okay, thank you so much for the time and good afternoon for all the participants and also the colleagues and the guests for the winner 2025. My name is Rizky. I'm a lecturer from Universitas Erlangga who involved in the Living Lab in Kampung Susun Kunir in the early years with the Hague University of Applied Science.
Could I ask you to speak a little bit louder if possible? Because I
Oh,
see
okay.
some doubting faces in the audience, just a little bit, because we are still challenged with the echo.
Okay. Now is it clear for my sound?
Better.
Better.
Okay. Yeah, this collaboration involve Universitas Erlangga and also the Hague University of Applied Science to link the academic learning, our academic learning about waste management to community-based action in the Kampung Susun Kunir with Miss Dinda and also Mbak Indri. And I will share insight from our institution about the participation in this Living Lab. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Yes, we know that the Kampung Susun Kunir is a resettlement project in Jakarta, but on co-creation between the resident and multiple partner, and the university where the Living Lab approach students and also the community and the local actor to learn together, bridging academic knowledge with community practices, especially in the waste management system. And universities were selected in this program based on their commitment and to the community engagement, especially in the multidisciplinary learning and also communities learning and collaboration potential. Next slide, please. Yeah. And why did a university join this collaboration? Because so we show the students about the real world problem in the communities. We engage with the communities because this project is aligned. It's also aligned with the MBKM program from the Ministry of Education, and it also include in the curriculum for the MBKM about community-based project from the Ministry of Education and the institutional collaboration and to support the sustainable urban transformation. Next slide, please. So we joined this living lab because university want to join to bridge academia and community for transforming the education and knowledge sharing, research, and the social engagement into collaborative urban solution. Next slide, please. And how topic were selected. So based on our interview with Miss Dinda and Miss Indri, we know that in the Kampung Susun Kunir, there has been no knowledge sharing about waste management or focus in the waste management yet. And then Universitas Erlangga and the Hague University of Applied Science make a collaboration, and our students share knowledge and learn about how residents of the Kampung Susun Kunir manage their waste. And there were also our student Canario and Arsha from environmental engineering study program in Universitas Erlangga, and there is Chantal and Araksan from European Studies and Communication from the Hague University of Applied Science. They work together about solid waste management in Kampung Susun Kunir. Next slide, please. So we have the first activities in the living lab is to sharing knowledge and to the resident and discuss about waste management in Kampung Susun Kunir, how they uh, transform their waste and how they collect their waste. And then next slide, please. And then after all, we visited Bantar Gebang landfill and also waste for change to deeper understanding the urban waste system by the government and also by industry in the Jakarta. And next. Yeah, and then we also join some session presentation with NVU and Laptanya. The NVU is like Entrepreneurship International that focus on developing circular solution, especially in the plastic waste, for reuse the plastic waste, and also the Laptanya for digitalization in the circular economy solution. And next slide, please. Yeah, and the student also have explore float kids tour from the Manggarai with Miss Sharifah, right? Miss Dinda.
Yeah.
Miss Sharifah, and then they also visiting Taman Kompos with Miss Dinda to know how community-based solution in the waste management have been sustainable in the Jakarta, in the kampung in Jakarta. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then after the several fight visit to deeper understanding the student about waste management system, the student also gave several output in this program, including like plastic bin and also the poster of the plastic waste management learning in the Kampung Susun Kunir, and also online learning platform to connect the kampung with the digitalization to always learning about waste management system. And next slide, please. Yeah, but from this short experience living lab project, our institution learned some key lesson, yeah, from this project. So we need long-term engagement. Long-term engagement is vital for the community-based solution for waste management, and then living lab must be embedded in the curricula, and the multidisciplinary learning teams work best for the complex issue in the sustainable urban. But we have challenges also in this project because for the limited time frames and also the long distance between Jakarta and Surabaya, and also the coordination and continuity after project end. But we also learned from Miss Dinda and the Kampung Kollektief that the consistency in the sustainable waste management is more important to have engaged with the community in the Kampung Susun Kunir. Next slide, please. So for moving forward, our universities plan to build structured living lab across semester, courses across semester, and then we the strengthen partnership with local actor like Kampung Kollektief, and then create alumni community networks, and also document this model for replication across other kampungs, especially in Surabaya, that close to Universitas Erlangga. Next slide. Yeah, and special thanks to all participating university, the Hague University of Applied Science, Universitas Erlangga, and also the Living Lab teams, Kampung Kollektief, Navik, and Netherlands Knowledge House. Thank you who made this project possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Karin. So we already had some insights of the project and the project setup, and actually what we had in mind and what it actually became to look like. But of course, the most important is how did it fit to the students' perspective. So we are very pleased that we have Salsa here with us. She's a student from Erlangga University. She has been participating in one of the projects of this living lab, not in the waste management, but in the waste management. Yes, okay. So now Salsa will also present a little bit about her findings and her experience on how it was as students to participate in the program.
Thank you, Simon, for the time. And I'm Salsa. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm from Universitas Erlangga. So today I would like to share about our experience on how the Living Lab programs going between the Universitas Erlangga and Section University. So next. Next. Yeah, we're coming from the different major. All of us here, we're in a different major, and from section we have 3 students. It's Maris, Dan, and Max, and then from Universitas Erlangga there is Salsa, me, and then Bila, Afi, Banginda, Rafi, and Naufal. So we are in a different major, so we learn on how the interdisciplinary major become one team of one big project. So we learn on bottom-up project. We learn on how it connected with each other. Next. So we have heard from William. We have heard from Linda and my lecturer Boriski. So from the partnership program, from the matchmaking, we have to came up to the kick-off meetings. So we learned that we meet up with the section student. We learn on how we create these projects and what ideas that brings on when we are coming in an offline project. So on, I think it's like 9 November, we met in the art trip. we learn there from the good school. We have tour in the exhibitions. We have tour on the waste management about the bottle recycle. So from there, for the first day of trip, we learn on how the our projects from the art trip we can make the output on how the Kampung Susun Kunir will we can make on a collaboration from the vendors of the waste management and the art exhibition that we visit from the Anchet. And then next day we visit the Explore Kampungs. It's a fun thing. It's a fun thing because we visit the Kampung Tangkal, Kampung Belokan, and then Kampung Susun Kunir. On that day we have a lot of findings on what the Kampung Susun Kunir and the all residents in Kampung, like the Jakarta Kampung community, face on the problems, face on the they live in current situations with the sanitations, how they face on the air conditions and on. And then on that day we learn on many things. And then what makes me challenging at that time is we we face a lot of activities, but we also prepare before that. We list a lot of interview questions so that we know that what case study that we want to bring up to. And then on the next day we have a dialogue with the residents. Before that, we have the exchange ideas with the President University at the workshop. Then at that time, we know more about the President University students that already visit Kampung Susun Kunir before that. And then we know and like the exchange the findings from the Kampung Susun Kunir, for the President University students, like what we have to develop in the future for the Kampung Susun Kunir. And then after we know the findings from the President University students, the next day it's more like on a bonding day. So so we more like a cultural exchange. We spend our time to strolling Glodok Market, and then we know that they they try a lot of traditional food there, like a lot of things that sell that they seems like, oh, really, it is sell here in the market. They sell like we first back then we want to build the vertical garden in a wall. So we want to what plants that we want to plant there in the vertical garden. And then we see a lot of plants there. And then after that, after we make like a rundown, we make a daily itinerary on the rundown. We're coming up to the Kampung Susun Kunir, and then next. So we're more like enjoy with the local residents. So here we have a connections between the childrens there. We make the art. So we want the children also involved in that. After we don't want the ibu and bapak only involved in the Kampus Sungkonde projects, but we want also the children also involved there. So we want them to drawing an art that what we saw, what they see in their situations in the vertical building. And then next, so so these are the results. It's so amazing. They are talented. And then we collect this art from, we also print out with the stickers. And then we also bring them into the treasure hunt map that I want to share in the upcoming minutes. And then after that, next. In here, is the answer between how the students, how the sections and the universe and the Erlangga students or the Indonesians and the Netherlands students can work together. So we have a different measure and we have the different perspective. We have a diverse ideas back then, but all we need is one goal: is we want to resilient future for Kampung Susun Kunir. So after we make one goals, so this will bring up to the easiest way to make a one project that really relevant to each major. Next. So here, this is what I tell about the Kota Tua Treasure Hunt. So this is a map. We have the children out there, and then this is a map. Like we want the goals is like resilient future for Kampung Susun Kunir. So we want to connect it between Kampung and Kota Tua, and then this paper is from the seed paper. So if it is like become a waste or rubbish, so it can be planted in a new plant. So there's in this Kota Tua Treasure Hunt, there is there is the seeds inside. So it is a bayam seed. So when it comes to waste, so there's no more waste. So it's more like on the new plants for Kampung Susun Kunir. So that here what we see and we create build couple top there. We create the stickers, and then by Indri and Waheni always privately chat me that, oh Salsa, I have no more the stickers, please send me the other stickers, and then all of these ideas, it comes from our team, our teamwork, the Netherlands and Indonesians collaboration. So this is Maris who draw about the how we want to make the greener future for Kampung Susun Kunir. And I wish this will be the next change for the next team that will work on this. Thanks. All right, what we got from us, I think this is the teamwork. This is the Indonesians and Netherlands teamwork. So of course we have a different teamwork. We have the diverse ideas, diverse perspective. We have learned on the culture exchange. We learn on how the Netherlands and Indonesia students like in a direct and indirect communications. Also the strategic planning. We learn on how the bottom up projects can make good projects for the future or the long term projects, and it's more like cultural engagement. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I will jump back in to explain the third living lab that did it in Kampung Susun Kunir. For that, little surprise, the bear plutok that you see in the bottles. Everyone in the audience in person will get to try it. Waheni made a batch in the back. So sorry for the online audience. There's no way to deliver beer plutok online yet. But yeah, so for those who don't know, beer plutok isn't beer. It's how spices and different kinds of combinations on how the traditional Betawi drink is made. And in Kunir, Waheni has her own special recipe, which I prefer a lot more than regular bil pratok. So everyone here is in for a treat. Yeah. And to also give context, when Salsa mentioned that a lot of the people in her group were so diverse, it's from urban planning to English literature. So it's that different kind of majors that made the living lab really rich. And the different visits that she also experienced were new connections. So we connected as case owners, we connected different organizations also to the students to help them grow and make sure that the impact that they make with the community is well maintained. And in a living lab situation, you're always collaborating. The community in Kampung Susun Kunir are treated as equals. So it's a bit different from KKN, where maybe you would come as experts-ish. But this is the third theme of Living Lab from The Hague University and Universitas Indonesia. Their collaboration was on how kampungs can be a place for tourism, and how people can maybe be more attracted to come to kampungs, because sometimes maybe there are limits, maybe the people feel like, oh, if I go, would it be safe? Or, oh, if I go, would I know anyone there? Would it be intruding? but this would be an exploration on how it could be with tourism. So the students from UI were focusing on how to shift the narrative of kampungs in Jakarta, where you might see them as communities that are sometimes blamed for the cause of floods, sometimes were seen as slums, but it's not the full story. You would have to come, you have to visit, you have to see how even in the kampungs, they are practicing a lot more traditions than maybe a middle income or higher income community do. A lot of different festivals, a lot of different traditions that they practice. And one of the dishes that they wanted to try to share was rujak. So rujak, maybe a foreigner from outside of Indonesia wouldn't naturally have it as their first meal. It's quite a different mix of local fruits. And what the students did was to make a workshop. So they designed a way for the kampung residents and people who come from outside of Indonesia who might not speak Indonesian can communicate with the workshops. So I will show like they made different kinds of flashcards for the students, for the residents to be able to facilitate a rujak workshop on their own. So each card has an English and an Indonesian and little fun facts about the different fruits that are in the dish. And what we learned from doing this kind of workshop was that there are a lot of fruits in Indonesia that you cannot translate. So we were trying to find like what is kedongdong in English, and it is kedongdong. And we've done this workshop a couple of times after the students left, with the residents, with me helping to translate just the opening. And it felt like a good way to break barriers. So we were able to enjoy the food together, to cook it together, even without everyone speaking the same language, because food always unites. Because the activity is also very physical when you have to break the nuts and make the sauce. And you were able to maybe learn a lot of Indonesian words during that time. So people would know how to say mantap or enak, and would be an easy way to learn local fruits that you might not know. Even some of the fruits I would like have to ask like, what is this? Oh, it's manga apple. So I've never seen manga apple before. I thought it was just an unripe mango. But it's quite nice when we had this opportunity to connect, to maybe build more relationships. We've done it with universities from the Netherlands, from people from Malaysia came, from the placemaking workshop, people from also from Japan.
Even with the moderator of the session.
Yeah. So it's always quite nice. This is a photo we took on Sunday where a lot of the people from NL Knowledge House and also Sabine came to Kampung Susun Kunir. And I guess it was a good opportunity to also open up discussions. A lot of questions were being asked about the kampung. A lot of questions were being asked about how it turns out Indonesians and Dutch people cut in a different direction. I never knew that. So Dutch people cut from the outside in, and Indonesians cut from the outside and inside out. So it's like, oh, why did that happen? But that kind of thing, when you can only do it in person, when you're talking, when you're just relaxing and having fun, and I think good opening for the kampung and knowing how the vibe of people in the kampungs, how everyone is connected to one another, working with each other, gotong royong, and it's quite a nice way to also support the community. So, yeah, to conclude, we had a lot of different really great university partners, both from Indonesia and the Netherlands, with Nafik has been very supportive. Plus Carlotta. From myself as the case owner for this project, it was a very fun project where I got to also start new connections for Kampung Kollektief, because there are a few that I scheduled for the students that I was always like, I've always been curious about this. I also want to see what this organization is working on. Maybe we can open up new collaborations for ourselves as case owners, and also to see how the students were able to slowly learn that collaborating with kampungs, collaborating with communities doesn't always go smoothly. There are a lot of things that maybe when you're a student, you want to change the world, you want to do all of these big things, but then when you have to ground yourself and see like, oh, what impact can you start with now that could lead to bigger impact in the future, and how you can be that connection with a community, be that bridge to maybe come up with new ideas, to come up with new solutions, and maybe sometimes come up with new problems. But I think the students enjoyed.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much, Dinda, for your presentation, all your insights, and for sure all your efforts in this Living Lab. I think also for the team of the NL Knowledge House, it couldn't have been better than this to start this new initiative in Indonesia with so much enthusiasm and dedication, and all the time you spend not only, of course, with the residents of the campus, but also with the students. Unfortunately, Risky is just, it disappeared at least from the screen. Risky, if you are still there, I think you can agree with me that we have been all very lucky to have you as, oh yeah, good to know. Yes, you're back. Very nice also to start a new initiative in a way that it really works. Looking to the time, I think I want to combine the next two topics, which is a little bit more of reflection if this model of a living lab really works. So if our initial idea that we want to set up a real life case in a public-private social partnership, if it works in this way. We already heard some reflections also from the students. So without doing the round again, I would actually like to involve you as audience, and we have a very nice mixture of representatives from Indonesia and Indonesian higher education, as well as from the Netherlands. Different fields of education are in the room as well. So maybe just to open up, is there anyone who would like to reflect on what you have heard? Is this something which resonates for you, maybe for the future, or do you have current examples which are similar? Then I would really like to invite you briefly, because then our audience online can also see you. So can I give the word to anybody? If you don't feel like sharing, you might also want to start with the question to some colleagues from the audience. Yes, please, Sarah, could you maybe just briefly, because then the audience online can also see and hear your question.
Yeah. I thank you very much. Really beautiful Living Lab example project. Now, I was wondering if you have your tourism roadmap kind of worked out. How you already received Japanese guests and Malaysian guests, Dutch guests. How are you planning to keep this going? How would you channel your invitation to tourists to come?
Yeah. So for Kampung Susun Kunir, they are now, so far, it's been more of partnerships with universities that want to visit for the tourism activities. But they also have in the Kampung a special gallery room that is in like a level basement that has an exhibition permanent or running for quite some time now. It's about the 9 kampungs of Kota Tua. So it's also from another researcher, Mas Kamil, who did stimulating funds research. So people can always come to the kampung and see the history of the 9 kampungs of Kota Tua. And we are thinking of maybe making it more commercial. Some universities, President University from President University is in Cikarang.
Yes.
They are planning on making a night tourism activity this Saturday. So if anyone wants to come, everyone's invited. So we are taking delicate steps because we don't really want it to be something that's invasive for the residents because it is a home. And we want to make it a way that's fair for the residents to get income that's equivalent to the work that they have to put in to promote it, and also maybe open up partnerships. We will keep people updated. Follow our Instagram. Follow Kampung Susun Kunir Instagram, and maybe later on Waheni or Pamarsha can also share about like their own experiences too.
I think it would be really nice that if you are planning to go to Jakarta and you see, do you want to join the rooftop making workshop? And really, I would like that.
Yeah.
Like a really authentic experience. Thought it was really wonderful when I did it. So, okay, can I go back?
Yes, yes. There is, I think, a question or a comment from the online audience from Sally Veronica.
Oh,
Thank you very much for your comments.
Sally is the lecturer from President University.
Okay.
She will do the Saturday night night tourism in Kampung Susun
Yes,
Kunir.
so she said indeed for the villages, Indonesia has brought attention for tourism by.
Anugerah Desa Wisata.
Okay.
So why we don't bring the trend to the urban kampungs too?
Yes.
Let's bring the trend to the urban kampungs.
Yes.
Everyone welcome if you want to fly from the Netherlands. Yeah.
So maybe also another question from the audience. I also have some in petto, of course, as moderator, but I want to give you the opportunity. Yes, Vianda? You also? Yes, that is helpful for the online participants in the session. Are they still there? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for any of the speakers. It's a beautiful project, and well, you can be very proud, also you as students, to be involved in this kind of project. And of course, we are looking forward to well, to have a sustainable process in having this kind of project. So to also have other students following up in other projects. So what would be your suggestions or advice to the universities involved to keep these kind of projects going?
Maybe from students, like what would you like as a request from universities?
All right, from the students, maybe it's more like how we build our long-term projects, right? We have developed, actually from the sections, we have developed the green strip, like only like a map or a sketch. So maybe for the next partnerships or the team, it's more like how they can adopt also with the ideas from our various projects.
Okay.
Then sure.
Yeah.
Maybe Risky, do you also want to answer as you are colleagues?
Sorry, what the question from Vianda?
The question is, how can we make sure that these kind of projects will be held in the long term? So how we can embed these kind of projects, for example, in our program. So my question was to all speakers, also for us as universities, it's essential to know how we can make sure that these projects go on.
Yeah, thank you, Vianda, for the question. Maybe from the lecturer or researcher perspective, we after we have like community-based program, then maybe some resident found it difficult to maintain sorting habits without like consistent follow-up. So we must focus on the same or similar area that we, and then we have the we have engaged with the resident, like in the coil project with the Hague. Last year we focused in the Jambangan in Surabaya about organic waste, and then this year we will focus on the Jambangan also in the Jambangan village, and then we focus on the plastic waste instead of organic waste, something like that. And then we also have this living lab will be conduct annually in our study program, maybe with the section University of Applied Science and also the Hague University of Applied Science in the maybe now our study program have two living lab with the Hague in the waste management system and the section in the wastewater management system in the same kampung. It's in Jambangan, something like that, Wianda.
Thank you, Ms. Risky. Maybe John to repeat in summary, Igoriski said that it's important to maintain the habits actually and to embed it and keep on repeating what we did. And I think this all comes to also the initiative of the academics involved. But I have no doubt that with such an enthusiast start as a living lab, it's way more easy to keep the spirit and to stay connected. So I look forward to our next year's session already where we present the next results, possibly.
Could I maybe
Yes, please.
Yeah.
a little answer that from the Hague Living Lab, the last one was done with the Dutch students online. But what I really liked from that was that there was a session towards the end, but could be moved a bit earlier, where students give feedback on each other's work. And the Dutch students were very direct with their feedback. And I think that's not something that Indonesian students are used to. When you're a student, when you're giving feedback to a friend, you're normally like pulling your punches, being nice. But with the Dutch students, it was like more of a, oh, I think this kind of feedback is very useful because when you're a student, sometimes to have this kind of way that you can criticize work without criticizing the person is something I think Indonesian universities need more, where you're able to grow with constructive criticism. You also learn what feedback you can contribute to improve each other's projects and to really collaborate. I think that was something that I really was like, oh, very interesting. Yeah.
Nice to hear. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
question. There is another question from the online audience, which might already be a suggestion for the continuation of the Living Lab, because someone is asking if there are any activities already to promote foreign languages among kids or students who live in Kampung Susun Kunir. I think there are not yet any activities, but having this tourism component indeed in the last Living Lab group, it might be also a nice next step to add any kind of foreign language elements, for sure, in the connection to attraction new groups. The Rujak workshop, yeah, in different languages. Yes, very good. Thank you so much. But now you solved the problem from the student.
It's a really nice poster yesterday.
Okay.
In,
Okay,
on teaching children another language while playing.
nice.
Interesting. Indonesia.
There was another comment. Yes, please.
So I mean, actually the Jakarta people make Rujak, but sometimes maybe for foreigner, right? So
Yes.
they also for Rujak, everybody can see in the
Yes.
local people, but I didn't see the effect of for the our partner. I mean the Kampung Kollektief student. I see people. I see many students laughing, many students from all of the worlds coming and then all together. But the effort for the local partner, I didn't see. But maybe in the future uh, you have to improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for this.
I'm from
Yes.
Jakarta University,
Okay.
State of University of Jakarta. Also, some of our students make like that, but also my boss here. Okay, I make here is air bersih untuk Jakarta. I know Jakarta people difficult to find sanitation SDGs number 6. So we try to make that. But our our tag is air bersih untuk Jakarta. We start from the Jakarta statement.
Good time to also ask Wahid and Marsh.
Yes, briefly, we have to make it because we have one more element. Mark, yes, indeed. So you will translate?
Yeah, I can
Yes. So, Bu Heni, could you briefly tell about, yes, please, if you
Pak Marsha juga boleh kalau mau. Nanti aku bantu terjemahin. Oke, diwakilin Wahid.
Possible to have collaborator with city, right?
yes, we can discuss that. So maybe Bu Heni, could you briefly tell about your experience as a resident of Kampung Susun Kunir?
Pengalamannya gimana kolaborasi sama mahasiswa dari Belanda, dari universitas itu buat program ini tadi?
Ya, sangat menarik ya. Bagi kami warga Kampung Susun Kunir sendiri, jadi mengerti gitu loh. Misalkan tadinya yang nggak tahu, kayak kita tuh punya berpotong ini harus pakai stiker gitu kan. Nah, dibuatin sama ini mahasiswa dari ininya gitu. Terus rencana mereka juga untuk kampung kami sih, ya alhamdulillah gitu bisa apa namanya tuh memberikan hasil untuk koperasi kami gitu. Karena kami kan di sana ada koperasi di Susun Kunir sendiri. Ya menarik sekali lah.
So, Waheni says it's been a very interesting experience, that the value that from collaborating with students, there were ideas that were newly introduced to the kampungs, that they've always had their strengths with different products, like with bir putok, with the little bottles. They've always had it sold, but with the new perspective from students, it's like, oh, you have to market this with stickers, you have to have a brand look. And that's something that's been also beneficial for the co-op that runs the Kampung Susun Kunir, because they have to fund their own maintenance for the buildings. So always, if you find a way to support the co-op, it's always very nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, it's.
Oh, and everyone later on.
Yes, we
Please try.
will not leave without trying, indeed. So once again, thank you very much, Salsa, for traveling to Jakarta to be here with us today. It's very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Rizky, also thank you so much for participating online. And of course, Dinda, thank you so much for signing up for this Living Lab initiative of the NL Knowledge House. But we won't leave because we still have time left. We are very pleased to invite two new speakers to the panel. Thank you.
But the moderator also, I'm the sister of
Please join us. So now I have Lotte with me from the NAPTIC office here in Jakarta, and already another colleague, Raha. But I first would we, oh, yes, there's a little more program, so for the audience online. Lotte, may I give you the word first?
Yes, thank you, Sabine. Good afternoon, everyone online. So my name is Lotte Troost. I work for NIFIC Southeast Asia, just around the corner here at the same compound. Yeah, and as the slide says it, the NL Knowledge House Living Lab, what's next? Well, we're still closely collaborating with Dinda and her team. We also discussed with the NL Knowledge House members, like building on the successes of the Kampung Susun Kunir Living Lab, do we want the next Living Lab? And since NL Knowledge House is really member-driven, so the members, they decide the agenda, what topics are interesting to them, what do they want to pursue here for collaboration with Indonesian knowledge institutions. They said, yes, we want a new living lab. We want a living lab 2.0. So that's what's coming next. Next slide. So how did we start it? Well, that's also where NUFIC comes in. We listen to the members. We we find out what topic would the new living lab then has to be. So we consulted with the Dutch embassy, also what are the current priorities for Indonesia, for the Netherlands. Now, we all, if we have a look at the headlines in the newspaper, food security comes often back in the news under the new Prabowo president. So that is what we decided we want to pursue for a new living lab. We make it a little bit broader, sustainable food systems. Next slide. So last June in Indonesia, there was a big trade delegation coming from the Netherlands. And there were 3 tracks of focus, and one of them being agriculture. So that was a really good opportunity to find new Bindas, new people who want to submit a case study. So we we launched an expression of interest during the economic mission. Next slide, please. And that resulted in some very interesting case studies. We got 10 interesting case studies. Well, agriculture is very broad, so they had to indicate which subtopic are they focusing on. Next slide, please. And we worked with a jury, just as in the Living Lab with Kampung Kollektief. We also collaborated with the jury coming from the private sector, academics, and also here from the embassy. So we had a very diverse perspectives that they could bring in reviewing the case studies. We had a set of criteria that they could take into account. And that actually leads to next slide. Terms rolling. They had actually 2 case studies that they found very interesting. One, because it has a really integrated approach. It opens up for various disciplines, and we saw the success of that with Kampung Kollektief Living Lab. And that is, next slide, a case study from the Yayasan Usaha Mulia. They are organic farm and a social enterprise located in Cipanas, so around a 2-hour drive from Jakarta. And they focus on various topics from greenhouse systems to seed viability, climate change impact. So this one stood really out to the jury, but there was another one. Next slide, please. And that case study really attracted the interest of the jury because of its innovation and also its potential for scaling some innovative ideas that may arise from the student teams, because they work with a broad network. And I'm very happy to see some of them here in the room already, from the Seed, from the Ministry of Agriculture. And that is also really important for us, with the Living Lab, that some innovative ideas that may arise from the students also have potential to be carried on by the case owner and the communities that they work with, not only in their location, but maybe also in other areas in Indonesia. And that's why, next slide. I'm very happy to announce that for the next Living Lab, we will collaborate with Q-Point. They are an agri-food consultancy, actually based in the Netherlands, but they also work here with Burara. Very happy that you can come here all the way from Jakarta. And I'm very excited on behalf of the NL Knowledge House to start working with you. So can I have an applause? And we have the symbolic prize or gift to kick off our collaboration. It's a plant. Why a plant? Because we hope that this, just like a plant that grows, our collaboration can also grow in the coming year. at least. So an invitation from the NL Knowledge House for collaborating, and that this plans may grow into a good collaboration between us.
Camera, please.
Can we have our partners in this picture, please? Yes, of course.
Mary from Ministry of Agriculture and Pak Aga from Yayasan Binatang
And
Sejahtera.
even identify William as perfect. Yeah.
Everyone moves the center.
Be careful.
Oh,
And
yeah,
looking
let's
forward.
force this slide, so will be great. All right, I'll take a picture with the phone first. 1, 2, 3, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one with the camera. Hold it, guys. Next one. 1, 2, 3. All right, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you very much. You.
So congratulations, Purara. I think it's time to wrap up our session. For the audience online, I would like to thank you very much for being patient with us. The sound might have been a little bit challenging for all participants in the room. Of course, also thank you very much for being with us and for listening to all our presentations, for listening to all our presenters. Of course, there is time to also learn more about the case. Purara will stay here for a while, but as we are limited in time, I would like to thank you again to the audience online. So online we will stop now, but of course there is a drink for us and there is still opportunity to talk a little bit. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.